That was the sixth time. And so what did you, I know that's kind of silly, it's fun, but you were giving feedback, right? And when you were giving the feedback, I mean, you literally got better and better and closer, and I swear I thought you were going to get it. I thought you were going to get it. You were right there.
The sixth one was good. The last two went over there. I was like, no, that wasn't the same.
Yeah.
That was not the same that you just did.
Yeah. No, but anyways, I wanted to do this because this is kind of like what we do in our classes, right? I mean, we have the kids do something, and then hopefully we give them feedback, and then after feedback, maybe hopefully we have them do it again, and then we give them more feedback. What we're going to do now is I have a sheet, so you don't have to do this, but we're going to watch a video. And this, in order to discuss the video, I'm sure you guys have seen something like this, but it's like a protocol. So this is like the 4 A's. And like I said, I have a sheet, and we'll discuss after we watch the video. But just so we can go over real quick, what assumptions, so I just want you to look at this, and then we'll watch the video. I'll give you a sheet, and as we're watching the video, we can discuss it afterwards, okay? So it's just what assumptions does teacher hold, what do you agree with in this video, what do you argue, and what parts of the video do you aspire? It's kind of like just something for us to go by as we talk, okay? All right, so let me, hopefully, I know the lights are not off, but I really tried to find you really pretty pictures to put on this thing, because, you know, we need pretty pictures.
We need, yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we're visual.
All right, now, I hooked up, hold on, because of sound purposes, because I want you to be able to hear it, I'm using this thing, which is a boom, a UE boom, and just to make sure, I just want to be sure that it is hooked up. No, because I turned this thing on. All right. Okay, now it's good. All right. Okay, so here we go. Go back to our presentation. All right, so
what would you guys say to teachers, if they're not getting high quality work? Could they learn something from this, and what would you say to them that they could do differently in their classroom?
This is a story called Austin's Butterfly, and it's a true story about a first grade boy, and his name is Austin, and he goes to school, or used to go to school, in a town called Boise, Idaho. And in his class in Boise, Idaho, they were studying butterflies, and he had to do a project. His job in first grade was to draw a butterfly, and this is the butterfly that he picked. Austin had to use this photograph as his model, and he had to draw an accurate scientific drawing of this butterfly. This is called a tiger swallowtail.
I knew it!
Can you tell, Toby, why it's called tiger?
Because it kind of has the stripes of the tiger right there.
Good. So here was Austin's job. He was supposed to do a scientific drawing of that butterfly. But remember, Austin was only in first grade. And you know what he did? He forgot to look like a scientist carefully. He got his paper and he just started to draw the image of a butterfly that he had in his head. And he wasn't looking like a scientist, and so this is what he drew. It's not bad, and it is a butterfly, but does it look exactly like this?
No.
No, it doesn't yet. It doesn't look exactly like this yet. Luckily, this wasn't a regular school where Austin went. It was an expeditionary learning school, just like Przumscott School. And so they didn't look at this and say, good, Austin, you're done. They said, Austin, good start. Now we can start giving you critique so you can do a second draft and make it better, and a third draft and make it better, and you can make it much, much closer to this, and he was ready to go. All of the first graders in his critique group sat on the floor like you guys are, and they decided to split their advice into two kinds. First, just the shape of the wings. And then when the shape was right, they'd give him advice about the pattern inside the wings. Alia, what would you say?
You can make it much pointier.
Good. These wings could be much pointier. Who else would add something? Atak, what would you say?
How about the angle? Because, not to be mean about
Yes.
the angle, it's just
not exact, so.
Okay, so show me. Come on up here, talk. Show me what you would ask him to do slightly differently.
Like to make it a little longer.
Longer where? Draw where you would do it.
Right there.
Okay, so pull this out longer.
Yeah.
That's very specific, Atak. Thank you. Jamila, what would you say?
It's like triangle.
Good. Jamila, I love that. So you're saying more like a triangle shape. And I agree. Well, you know what? Those first graders came up with most of those same ideas. And do you know what Austin said? He said, okay, I'll go try. And he went back to his seat and he drew this.
Wow.
Does this look more like a triangle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he go out further, like Atak was suggesting?
Yeah.
Did he add some jaggedness here,
Yes.
like Cindy? Did he get rid of that bottom thing?
Yeah.
So he did listen to his friends and he made it better. It's not perfect. Toby, what would you say?
I'd say don't put those little tail things so pointed in. I'd say put them more pointed down.
Good. Okay, Ethan, what would you say?
I think you should make the wings like this, not like just like.
Okay, he listened to his friends and they said, this is really a lot better, Austin. That second draft really is better.
Yeah, maybe you can make the third one.
Good, maybe he could make a third draft. And so he did this draft.
That's the third draft.
That's his third draft, Hadley. That's just right. Elijah, what do you notice there?
Well, one wing's more pointed than the other, and that side is a little bit higher than
Good. Coburn?
Right here, it doesn't have the inside thing still.
Ah, okay. Needs a little bit more of that notch. So, do you think maybe he should do a fourth draft?
Yeah.
Well, that's just what he said. He said, shoot, okay, I got round again. I'll go back and do a fourth draft. He listened. Does it look more even like Elijah was suggesting?
Yes.
Yeah, and does it look like it's coming out a little sharper, like Cindy was suggesting? And like Attack was saying, it's a little, the angle looks a little better. So now Austin was feeling really good. He said, am I ready to add some pattern? And they said, okay, why don't you try adding some of the pattern? And he did.
Oh, he's good at it.
He is so good.
And then they said, Austin, you're ready for color.
Oh.
Let's look at his last draft. And what do you think? Did it come out really good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me show you where he started, just to give you a quick reminder. And then, what do you think about how much progress he made? And Tack, what would you say about his progress?
He made like a lot of progress. He persevered doing it. His friends were honest with him.
What was it about the kinds of advice that they gave that allowed him to get better each time? Hassan?
Well, they told him what was wrong about it.
Did they say it's just wrong, or were they more specific?
They were more specific, but they weren't mean about it.
Great.
He
Hadley.
made 6 drafts.
And so is that something that other kids should learn from? What should we learn from that?
He can make other drafts if it's not right.
Good. So if it's not right, you can keep doing more drafts to make it better.
You just don't use things in your head. You want to use sharp eye.
Good. He used the eyes of a scientist. Great.
Okay, so what did you guys think of that?
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's really cool that they can, you know, that's happened. And I think that's a very successful way to do it.
That's pretty much, I mean, that's what we, you know, like, we never accept things the first way they do it most of the time. But the problem is with high school is getting them to actually do more. Like, little kids are still, you know, excited about it and want to do more. You know, it's hard for them to push past the point of being comfortable with it and actually do what needs to be done.
Yeah, so with that being said, here you guys, I just want to give you guys this just so you can look at it. I think what I'd like to do is just discuss this video with you from the point of using these protocols and write on your first topic that you were just talking about, assumptions. So what assumptions do you think that this teacher has for his students? and and you were just talking about
The guy in the video or the
Mhm.
teacher? Of
The teacher in the
Austin?
video. The teacher, yeah, not teacher of Austin. The teacher in this video with his kids, or the teacher of Austin, because it must have
That
but
they
pretty
were
much.
going to respond and be interested in what he was talking about.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
That's the biggest.
Yeah, and actually be able to have a discussion with, about what they're looking
Yeah, and some of the vocabulary those students were using. I don't know if you noticed that one boy used perseverance. I don't know. A lot of my kids do know that word, but I don't think some use it actually in a sentence. But he definitely, and he assumed, what else? I should be answering for you. What else did he assume besides them just listening? Like, was there anything else that you saw? It's okay to say no. All right. What about them following, like, did he assume that they would get, like, what do you think his assumptions were that they would understand what he was talking about? Do you think that they would get it by doing what? What do you think he assumed he would need to do?
I mean, he showed them examples of, what he started with and then how he ended up, and then he had them talk about what they would tell Halston to do, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, kind of the same as the other kids in the other class.
Yeah, he just followed the same pattern.
And what do you guys agree with in that video? Like, what do you, as art teachers, because this is an art, kind of, even though it was first grade and kindergarten, as art teachers, what do you guys agree with?
I mean, the whole thing. Like, you can't. Part of drawing is actually looking at whatever you're drawing. You cannot draw it if you don't look at it. And people have assumptions or preconceived ideas of the way things look. And if they're not actually doing it based on what's in front of them, then it doesn't end up looking like what it's supposed to look like. Like, he already knew what a butterfly looked like in his head, and it wasn't the one he was trying to draw.
Yeah.
So just getting people to actually look at whatever they're doing, and even if it doesn't, like, if it's intimidating to look at the whole thing at one time, just look at this section and say there's dark areas here and light areas there, and try to match, whatever it is you're trying to do. But yeah, the whole thing, I mean, you can't just take the first attempt as the best attempt, because you're going to learn more than every time you do it and end up with a better product.
I have to say, I know for me, a lot of
Like rehearsals, I mean,
It is, and that one, the story I told you in the beginning was my closest to doing this. When I stopped to reflect about this, what I realized I was doing is because I actually thought I was doing this all the time, but in actuality what I was doing or what I do, and I'm trying to change that now, is I have the kids do something, and then after they're done, I critique them.
Yeah.
Now we go on to do something else, but I don't stop them and have them do the same thing over and then critique that, stop, have them do it over again and over again and over again until it is absolutely right. I usually let them do it and then go back and critique it, you know what I mean? So they've spent all this time on the project instead of actually going through more methodically. So that's something that I'm trying to do differently, okay? Hey, come on in. We're doing a professional development. If you want to
Seems official.
be on YouTube, it's for my class. Yes, we have another person.
Hey,